Jory? No. That's fine.
Thank you all for being here on behalf of Bob and his family, his friends. Thank you all for being here. First, I'm going to bring up Quentin Ray from the audience.
Thank you everyone for being here. As I mentioned, I'm quite Ray, director of Beyond Baroque. I'm not going to say too much, but just that we are here to celebrate Bob Branaman today. I first met Bob when I first got to Beyond Baroque, which was 2015, and he has been very much has been Beyond Baroque in many ways for me. Richard Modiano, the director at the time, had brought Bob on as artist in residence. He curated, I don't know, well over 100 shows here at the time he was artist in residence. And I learned a lot from him. He was one of the original members of the Beat generation, as I think most of us know. For people like me, that generation was sort of much mythologized in the media and literature coming down to us. What I learned from Bob was that some things are very simple in life. All you need is your imagination, your creativity, and to have love for a community and your friends and your family. And that's what he gave to this place. And that's what's going to remain here. I do want his family and all of you to know that Bob will be a part of Beyond Baroque forever. His spirit is here. That sense of love is here. And I'm just very glad to have all of you here to celebrate that today. So without further ado, I think we should just continue with the program. And thank you all for being here.
George Burroughs.
You rotten, no good motherfucker. I came here, I had all this stuff I wanted to say to Bob. You know, I've been writing notes and things and memories. And then it turns out he split. What's going on, man? You know, what the hell is this? They throw a party and then the guest of honor doesn't show up? Anyway, welcome. Let's all just have a good time.
Yes, let's all just have a good time. One of the things that Bob was lovable. There's a lot of love in the room here, man. Let's just give love and let love rule. Chris Sam.
First things first. Thank you, Uncle George. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Samp. I'm Bob's son-in-law, and I'm married to Goldberry and Allegra, and Aiden are my children and Bob's grandchildren. And I want to say welcome, and I want to recognize the indigenous people in this land here and up north here. Bob and I had a little history with some of these elders that we traveled around with. The song I'm going to sing is called the Welcome Song. It's a Shumish song, and it was brought to us by Grandfather Semu Kuaute, who Bob knew in the Big Sur days. And as well as I learned it with a medicine person, a Cherokee man named Rolling Thunder, and his wife, Spotted Fawn, I lived with in the 80s. And it turns out Bob also went up there at one point trying to make a film, because Rolling Thunder was involved in the film Billy Jack. And Bob and a few folks wanted to make a film too. And anyways, I wanted to share the song, and it's a four direction song. It honors the four directions and calls the spirits of all the directions. So here we go. This beat is considered the heartbeat of the Mother Earth. This was a song we would sing at Rolling Thunder's camp in Nevada for the sunrise. The camp was called Meditante, which means have good peace. Hey, 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 on go on. 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 Hey, on go on. Hey, on go on. Hey, 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 on go on. Hey, on go on. Hey, on go on. Hey, 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 on go on. Hey, on go on. Hey, on go on. Oh, me talk to y'all, see. All my relatives.
Goldberry, aka Goldie Fam.
Woo! Hey guys. So, all right. This is so weird being up here because I've seen Bob up here numerous times. And hey, Pops, thank you all for coming. I wrote something this morning because that's how I fly. I've been thinking about what to say today. There are so many angles, so angels, please lead the way. I asked Bob the other morning when my pen wanted to move in a million different directions, and what I heard loud and clear was, just speak from your heart, you'll know what to say. It doesn't matter, they're just words. I had to cry laugh because I know what he meant, and also, every time Bob spoke in public, he'd obsess afterwards about how he did, that he'd forgotten to say this or say that, and he'd always ask me if he sounded all right. So yeah, my love for him is more than words, but I'll tell you, I've been weeding through his drawers and shelves and stacks of paper full of words all week. I've been on a deep dive archaeological dig. Can you dig? I've had to look at every single old envelope and ripped piece of paper. One of my favorites, a rippled piece of old yellowed paper with a neato stamped image in the middle and the words, Bob, you motherfucker. Signed by George Herms, and he said it today. Oh, right, this is treasure. Those free real estate pads fully loaded with Bob's scratch poems, trash and treasure are all intermixed, one and the same, except for the same. It's all art. Poetry, Bob's style, illegible in scribble and spelling, letters turned into doodles, doodles turned into words, words turned into hieroglyphs to be discerned or maybe concerned. A theme runneth through. Love, 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 obsession, sex, food, money, meditation, pep talks about not taking things too serious. Us, his kids, his grandkids, but mostly women. Yes, this is true. Turns out his heart was totally true, pure with intent to love and to be loved. Rich, ripe words scattered onto Wells Fargo statements of brokenness. He might have been broke, but his spirit isn't broken. Turns out Bob came through some dark tunnels of pessimism, and through it all, he saw the light of everything and in everything. Turns out the old man had golden light surrounding him on that last night as we sung with him in the flesh, and he said, "I love you, and you love me, and we are one." Self-soothing took on many funky forms in the innumerable incarnations of Bob, and I am proud to say accepting himself at the end of the day is what we can all learn from. As I go through his things, I see the same themes in his life. I see similarities in my writing style, in my search for meaning, my connection to spirit, my insecurities, my feelings of not being valid. Old man, take a look at my life. I'm a lot like you. I have come to realize the qualities in my dad I thought unwise were actually what made him so relatable and genuine and loved. Aside from his never-ending, spirit-mending, mind-melting, painting meditations, Bob championed the underdog, the folks who also feel not enough but do their art anyway. He did his art and his life his way anyway. He kept on keeping on, his genius to recognize the genius in me and in you and in the trash I'm going through. Some of it I'm throwing away, but amidst the rubble, I'm also finding treasured letters from people from all over the globe, words of realness sent to Bob. People felt safe being real with Bob because Bob could be nothing but real. The good, the bad, and the ugly. He was real about it. So to kick off this homage and send off, no off, he just shouted. I want you to share from your hearts. Words from Bob stream into my mind all the day long these days. But as he said the other day, speak from your heart. You'll know what to say. It doesn't matter. They're just words.
Yeah. Now the next generation. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. They know somebody. The next generation, Bob's grandson, Aiden Samp.
Hi everyone, I'm Aiden, as you just learned. I have a poem, but I also, and I'm a drummer, but you know, drums are poetry. But I mainly, before I read this, just wanted to say Bob, my grandpa, was maybe the strongest examples of how to maintain a solid practice every day. And a big inspiration. I see your smile in the rustle of leaves. I hear your laughs in the kids playing tag and the bustle of thieves. The monarch of butterflies, the patriarch of pastrami. He had a shirt called Body, or said Body by Pastrami. The sheep in wolf's clothing that is trying to blow his home back up. We're not in Kansas anymore. Mom and Daddy look at each other as the throat singing begins to rumble the ridge. Something hovers under Bigsby Bridge. An orb sings to the redwoods, phantasmagoric, over the skylight, undulating. Shit on a shingle. Thank you.
one of the things that was coolest about Bob is he was in process up until the very end. And he broke through and he found light. He found so much fucking light. As you can see out in the lobby and upstairs, he really went all the way, man. And that's, I mean, the people around me, when I watch how they process, man, as Aiden said, it's like my hat's off to him always, and Bob was amazing. Anyway, next, Ivan Morley.
Hi, I'm Ivan. I forgot to tell Essay I wasn't going to say anything today. I wanted to leave room for the important people, family. And I didn't write anything either, but I wrote something 3 months ago and then never looked at it again, didn't edit it. But I just want to say, the perk of marrying his daughter Bianca was Bob. And I am just I get to live with this guy and spend time with him. He proved this little theory I had that because there was when he was young, I know there was a time when he took that 100% leap. Some people say the Faustian bargain or something, but just no safety exit kind of thing. He just leaped in 100%, and he used to prove, and he continued to prove, and he totally proves now that it's a beautiful life. I would say the life of an artist, but just the life of somebody who lives like Bob, which is jumping in 100% and finding out that you have this floor of support, so. But this is more like a picture, and I can't show you the picture, so I like to write in the present tense. It's pretty early in our relationship, but somehow you're showing me your tattoos from juvie in Kansas. And I couldn't remember that he called it reform school. I was like, was it juvie? But it's the same thing. It was institutional. Juvie in Kansas. The kinds of tattoos from a sewing needle wrapped in thread or some old low-key apparatus for getting ink or other stuff under skin. Upper arm, by the no bicep, it says Bob. so expressively. All caps, almost illegible, but big, Bob. And you've got another one on another arm. It says Mom. But it's much more than saying, because they're like a picture. I wish I'd taken pictures, but that's what this is. Love you. Love you, Bob.
Bianca Branaman Morley.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here to celebrate my father, Bob, and your friend. There's no doubt that the people he spent a lot of time with, he was a soul force, and we'll carry him in our hearts. And he gave me so much. He gave me, it's just hard to even put it all into words. I didn't write anything. I was up late. I have tights under my pants because I was cold and now I'm hot. And I was here at 12:40 setting up all the food and just crazy, but now I feel the love, and that's really what is important and transcends all of it. Because in the end, we don't take any of it with us. And Bob lived 100% authentic to paint. He painted to live and lived to paint. And I'll tell you, he loved the people in his life as much as he loved to paint. And he was authentic. He went through some dark times. And you know what? I went through those times too. And he was my example of how we heal and we come together in love and our family mended. And Bob was a huge
example of me of how to live life in your truth and not get too distracted without all the outside stuff that we put importance on, even though he would get distracted with that because he was human. And I'm just so glad we're all here to celebrate his life. And wherever he is on his next journey, he's feeling our love. So let's all hear it for Bob. We love you.
Rustum Branaman.
So, yeah, my dad was the coolest guy that I ever knew. My dad was the hippest guy that I ever knew. My dad was the greatest artist that I ever knew. But we'll get to all that in just a minute. Let's talk about some of his other exceptional qualities. He was an extraordinary backseat driver. And he wanted to go to the 50th anniversary of Woodstock in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco, which I knew was going to be a bust. But I humored him, and I thought, hey, road trip, father and son, right? So here we go, we're going, and I've got it on the nav, and he falls asleep. He's sleeping for 2 hours. Right as we're coming into San Francisco, he wakes up and he goes, hey, Bugsy, what, you're going the wrong way. No, this is the long way. I know San Francisco. He also had a great penchant for reworking names, like Facebook. He called it Fart Book. And he had this thing about him where he would rework names and he would say Sons of a Ragged, or he would say, you'd be driving with him and some, idiot would cut him off and he'd say, oh, God bless those turd flippers, or, and the other day I was playing a board game with my daughter and she said, son of a gun, darn it, sticky snot. He just channeled right through her. It was like, I'm here, man. I'm not going anywhere. I might be in another round, but I'm here. And my father had such guts. And how do you define that? Well, for me, I define that by doing something you love that gives you passion, that fills you up, that gives you a reason to live. And that was his art. And he had such guts because no matter what was going on, he continued to do his art. And, my wife, she came to dinner with us a few times, and later she said, it was your dad that closed the deal. Because he is really cool, I don't know, you got some, and some of the times when I made movies and he came to see me, it was just so incredible to see how happy he was to come see me. And, big deal, a movie. What is a movie, right? But it's also creative. And he taught me so much about creativity. And he also brought me to a place in 1984 that where I was able to have a psychic change, because I was going down a very dark road that included drinking and other powdered forms. And this was extraordinary. It changed his life. It changed my life, and some other, a sister and a brother, and I won't name who they are. And how cool is a cat that knows that he's getting ready to go to the next party, and he says to his sweetheart, hey, hop in bed with me. And she does, beautiful Ginny. And as he's hugging her, he counts down his liftoff and then splits to the next realm. That's badass. That is badass. I mean, I want to go like that. Come on. That's right. It's like, okay, it's right there. I know I'm about to go, honey, hop in bed. And he started counting, right, Ginny? He started counting. And and thank God he met Ginny, because prior to meeting Ginny, there was a little period he didn't have a girlfriend, and boy, would I hear it. I need a girlfriend. I don't have a girlfriend. I got to get a girlfriend. Like he was a 14-year-old, right? Like where's my girlfriend, right? and then he met Ginny, and thank God for you, Ginny, because the two of you had this extraordinary love until he backflipped the fuck out of here till the next cool realm, as Aiden said. And so his spirit will live in me forever. And I was with my daughter, and you know how kids are. Someone dies, yeah, they're dead. Okay, he died, ha ha ha, right? So, and you know, Sophia, who's 5.5, and got to meet him and hang out with him and, you know, connect. Because the thing about Bob is, whether you were 4 or 14 or 44 or 94, he could connect with you. His ability he had this extraordinary curiosity and interest and humor and thing that he was basically, I don't ever know him as old. He was never old to me. He was always just my dad, and he was like ageless because he could connect with anyone. And I was with my daughter the other day, and somehow he came up and she said, oh yeah, Papa Pop, that's what you call him, right, Sophia? Okay, good. She said, yeah, Pop. I said, you know, somehow it came up, oh yeah, Pop, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. And then she said, but he can still give me things from his spirit. I love you, Dad.
Kate Ellis Branaman.
The Branaman's fine. Thanks. Hi, everybody. Just the Branaman's fine. That's a hard act to follow. You know, I love funny guys. And my husband's one of them, and my father-in-law was one of them. Bob, the first feeling I would say comes to mind when in his presence is divinity, wisdom. So one of the first times I was sitting next to Bob in the Brentwood Thursday night meeting of Anonymous, I was, you know, we were waiting for the meeting to start, and I thought he asked me to lean forward, and I thought, you know, he was going to say something profound. And he said something like, "Did you see that, motherfucker?" And I was like, oh my God, I love this guy. And honey, he wasn't the reason the deal got closed. He was the reason the deal even started. Rustam asked me out quite a few times to dinner, and I kept saying no, not because I didn't want to, because I was afraid, and I was in a very single mode. And then he asked me out to dinner with his dad, and I had gotten to sit by him, and he'd already said motherfucker to me. So then I said yes, and the rest is history. And he's not done giving gifts. I mean, somehow, the way things work out, in addition to today being his memorial, today is also 8 years Rustin and I have been a couple. Today. Thank you. Thank you. And just before he passed away, he sent me a subscription to a magazine. For real. So that I first got it after he was gone. And he would complain a lot about not having a girlfriend at those few first dinners we were going to. And he was online dating. And I mean, I would just laugh. You know, he was very wise. He was divine, funny as hell, and he's also human. And I appreciate most the people who share their humanness with other humans so that those people may feel more okay with being human themselves. And he was one of those people, and I love him. Thank you.
James Branaman.
You coming up with me? I'm James. I'm alcoholic. Sorry. Different podium. My daughters, Quincy and Ro.
Hi. Hi, also.
Do you guys have anything to say about? Okay, you can just listen, or let me know. Cool fact about my daughters: when they were born and started talking, Bob would come over and we would hang out and watch football, and he would tell me how if you rubbed their heads that they'd fall asleep. You know, he was showing me his tricks, his parenting tricks, and but you know, they couldn't say, when they started talking, they couldn't say Bob, and they said Bapu, and that's what they called him, Bapu. And then once my sister Goldie, we used to live next to each other, and she had a friend over that was Indian, and they were saying Bapu. You know, we had family over, and they were like, "Did they just call him Bapu?" And we're like, "Yeah, that's what they call him." And I guess I don't know if it's like Hindu or that word Bapu means father, like Gandhi or something. I don't know. And but yeah, man, what a father. You know, it sucks. My siblings stole all my good material. You know, but I too was writing, you know, and I tried to sit and get something going. And I felt a great pressure to honor him in some way and say something incredible because he was incredible. But I immediately heard back from him, you know, it's all groovy. You know, just good show, you know? And I just feel incredibly grateful for his example, you know, as I think everybody said, his undying passion to create and connect with people and be a part of and put himself out there is something that I don't know that I've seen in any other person. And it's so inspiring. And I know that I will hold that forever. And, you know, he was amazing in so many ways. And you know, for the first part of my life, I didn't get to be with him, you know, because he was still getting his act together. But I saw him, you know, in his last days at the hospital. And when I got there, he sort of immediately kind of looked me in the eyes, and he was telling me how, he goes, you know, Jimmy James, when you were just, you know, a couple months old, your mom was hospitalized. She had something going on. And he's like, and it was just me and you know, and I was giving you your bottles, and we were like, and I could see you know, the reflection, he was looking back at that moment, you know. And I just think about all the time, you know, I lived with him when I was 14, and that's kind of when I entered my dark days, you know, and he never really said anything to me about it, you know, like he'd come in the morning and I'd still be sleeping at like, you know, 2 p.m. And he'd walk through the room and he would like collect beer bottles and stuff and put them and like go out, and he would make art out of the beer caps and stuff and like, you know, and he would just do it. He just did his thing, but he was this shining example of, you know, the other side of where there is recovery. And because of that, I had him back in my life. And because of that, I have been able to be a present father for my children and have children, you know, and be alive and be here and be with all my family, you know, and I just think back to like, you know, I was like so lost. I dropped out of high school. I didn't know what I was going to do, you know, and we had just come back from Kevin Alexandra's wedding, which was awesome. And I was kind of depressed though, because, you know, I was like, what am I going to do with my life, you know? And that was a great party. And he came in the morning and he goes, hey, you want to come to work with me? Because Raymond, his partner, had also gone to the wedding. He hadn't come back yet. And I was like, yeah, and, you know, and we went and we spent like the next couple years painting houses together, and just all those car rides, you know, and those early mornings at Benjamin Moore, drinking burnt coffee and just getting to be with him, you know, it was really special. And yeah, I don't know. There's so much more, but I know that I'm going to think about him and I'm going to feel him forever, and he'll be talking to me. And you know, in the end, he didn't leave me any money, but he left me so much more, you know. I mean, you've seen all my amazing siblings, you see all our amazing family here, our community, you know. I feel so grateful to have that, because it's just everything to me. It's the most important thing in the world, you know. My daughter's right here. And I love you, Dad. Thank you.
Bob didn't leave me any money either. Can you guys get any money? Oh, borrow some, yeah. Lisa Miller.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm Bob's firstborn child that just wanted to play you something if I can get it to work.
I just wishing you a happy Father's Day. Love you.
That was Bob wishing me a happy Father's Day. He wanted to remind me that I'm his daughter. And the story goes that I was born here at Hollywood Presbyterian Memorial and was whisked away from my mother Susan's arms to the California Christian children's home. And before Bob even knew I existed, I was in the arms of my adopted parents, Pat and Ted, and I had a wonderful family. They were very loving, but they were very straight. And there was like, why is our 10-year-old daughter obsessed with hippies and jazz and beat poetry? So there was always just kind of like this insecurity and hole in my heart. Like, who am I? Why don't I fit in? And why aren't I, doing great in school? And, I just had this weirdness about me. And because of that, it led me to contemplative practices. I became a yoga teacher and a dancer. I studied sound healing. And in sound healing, there is something called the law of resonance. And the law of resonance, it's so aptly put actually by the poet Rumi, who says, what you seek is seeking you. And that speaks to the holographic nature of our universe, that what it is that you're vibrating at, what you're truly vibrating at, will come back to you. And all my life, I was just truly vibrating underneath all the insecurities, just some kind of something that led to the miracle of my friends Donna and Donnie and Anya giving me 23andMe, and Bianca giving James 23andMe, and us connecting and having this amazing healing happen in the family. And I remember my adopted father, Ted, driving me to the airport, and when I was going to meet Bob, and I remember him driving, and he didn't know, and he was like, oh, on the way back, I'm going to stop at the Virginia Diner and get some grits and bacon, and all the whole time, I'm just like, I'm going to meet my real father. Okay, Dad, I'm going to meet my real father. And then I got off at LAX, I took the Uber to meet Bob, and it was the happiest moment of my life, because he showed me like his wall in his room of all his lamas, and I'm like, oh, I practice Tibetan Buddhism too. And then, there was this amazing garage just chock full of this wild chaos. And I just wanted to sit there and listen to his stories. And he would say things like, yeah, I thought I was a movie producer once, but it turns out I was just a coke dealer. And it completed me. And this Christmas I came for his 90th birthday party, and then subsequently he was in the hospital and things weren't looking good, and it was the last night of his life. And I was with Goldie and Bianca and Ginny, and he was looking at us and he goes, I can't tell the difference between Bianca and Goldberry and Lisa, but it doesn't matter. It's all one energy. And we were like, oh, he's going. And then he said, as Goldie mentioned, he said, and I'd like you guys to say it with me, so just if you like, close your eyes and repeat after me. I love you, you love me, we are one.
I love you, you love me, we are one.
I love you, you love me, we are one.
I love you, you love me, we are one.
I love you, you love me, we are one.
I love you, you love me, we are one.
That was a direct transmission from Bob Branaman. Thank you all. Thank you.
And now, please show your love for Bob's partner, Virginia Jenny Comer.
Oh, I did write everything down.
because I cannot do what they just did. Thank you. That was beautiful. Everything they said was absolutely true. I'd like to start with a poem from a 12th century poet, Judah Halevi. "'Tis a fearful thing to love what death can touch, to love, to hope, to dream, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools, this love, but a holy thing, to love what death can touch. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was a gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death can touch." When I walked into the 18th Street Cafe on April 22nd, 2016, I didn't know I was about to meet the love of my life. I mean, who would have thought? After all, I was 72, he was 82, though both of us had lied about our age in our We did. He confessed very quickly, though. And then I did, too. What were the chances that a guy from Wichita, Kansas, and a girl from New York City would ever meet, let alone end up with each other? And yet, in this mysterious and magical universe, that is what happened. One of the first things Bob and I did in the early days of our relationship was to go to a Walt Whitman poetry reading here at Beyond Baroque. I remember thinking how remarkable and unexpected it was that I had met a man who would do this with me. We sat back there in the last row and held hands for the first time. We sat over the next several months, almost without noticing. I slowly fell in love with him. This was the person I wanted to kiss before I slept, and the one I wanted to see when I woke up in the morning. As I got to know Bob, I found I had to let go of most of what I thought I knew. Bob's life experience had been so different than my own and had been challenging in ways I could not have imagined. He had so many stories, many of them impossible, and yet all true. He had overcome difficulties with stunning courage and commitment. His inner resources proved plentiful, and in the process, he had embraced acceptance and found a liberating and enduring inner peace. This wise, kind, gentle, and generous man also had a wry and hilarious sense of humor. With it, he was often able to break through my worries and lighten many a situation. He could move me from grumbling to grinning faster than anyone I ever knew. His spirit enhanced not only my world, but the world at large, and his art, some of which you can see here today, remains a manifest testament to his vital essence, both in its beauty and abundance. I was one of the fortunate ones for whom the pandemic altered my life in the best way. In March of 2020, in an effort to ward off a possible COVID infection, Bob came to live with me. For a few weeks, we thought. We remained together for the rest of his life. We were lucky, and we knew it. Every night before sleep, he acknowledged it. Bob grounded me and made me feel safe in the world. Early on, we talked about going to France or Italy or Greece. Bob's health ultimately precluded this. But even so, he brought me into a bigger world than I had known and into a more authentic space. And he brought me to my better self. I got to know his warm and caring family, which I am now a part of as well, and his wide circle of friends, many of whom are now my friends too. Bob was finally all about love. If I were upset about something or aggravated with someone, he would remind me, look for the Buddha nature in everyone. It is there. And then the remedy, send them love. Many of you probably know this from your own experience of Bob. Well, I know that you do. And you can see his passion and boundless compassion plainly in his painting. I am thankful for the honor and the blessing to have been Bob's partner for the past nearly 8 years. And though my heart aches now, as I face the empty space where Bob once was, a friend reminded me that if it had not been so good, I would not feel so bad. She advised me, every time you feel sad, just remember, it is because it was so good. And when I can do that, I find myself profoundly grateful. Impermanence, a concept Bob frequently reminded me of, and which I mightily resisted, has rocked my world. I hope someday, through precious memories of our time together, this same impermanence will turn my sorrow into a measured joy. Bob, I love you. Bob, I love you, my dearest. Please remember to save me a place right next to you when it is my turn to leave the planet. I know it will be tricky trying to get through the band of angels surrounding you. They're playing, but I am determined to be by your side once again.
Bob LaSwan. Bob here?
Yes, right here.
Bob LaSwan.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I had the honor of knowing Bob for a short period of time. He was in a men's group of mine with 5 other guys called the Lost and Found Men's Council. And he found a home there, and we loved him and his presence and his humor and just who he was just amazing. And so I wanted to do a little tribute by singing one of Bob's favorite songs, a song by Bob Dylan, as a tribute to Bob Branaman. I know he loved this song. He even told me I know the guy that Dylan wrote that song about. It's called Mr. Tambourine Man, but yeah, thank you. But I've played with the lyrics a little bit, so bear with me. Though I know that evening empire has returned into sand, vanish from my hand, left me blindly here to stand, though still not sleeping. My weariness amazes me, I'm branded on my feet. I have no one to meet, and the ancient empty streets too dead for dreaming. Hey, Mr. Bob Branaman, paint a song for me. I'm not sleepy, and there is no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, paint a song for us. In the jingle jangle morning, we'll come following you. And I learned later that the Tambourine Man was the last in a procession of the New Orleans funeral. The tambourine man is the guy at the very end. Now, for a long time I never knew, well, who's the tambourine man? Of course, Bob said he knew the guy that he wrote it about, but the tambourine man was the clown at the end who played the tambourine, and he kept all the good spirits in. So to me, in my vision of this, Bob Branaman is the tambourine man. Take me on a trip upon your magic swirling ship. My senses have been stripped. My hands can't feel to grip. My toes too none to step. Waiting only for my boot heels to be wandering. I'm ready to go anywhere. I'm ready for to fade into my own parade. Cast your dancing spell my way. I promise to go under it. Hey, Mr. Bob Branaman, paint a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there is no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, paint a song for us. In the jingle jangle morning we'll come following you. Though you might hear laughing, spinning, swinging madly across the sun, it's not aimed at anyone, it's just escaping on the run. And but for the sky, there are no fences facing. And if you hear vague traces of his skipping reels of rhyme to your tambourine in time, it's just a ragged clown behind. I wouldn't pay it any mind. It's just a shadow of your seeing that he's chasing. Hey, Mr. Bob Branaman, paint a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there is no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, paint a song for us. In the jingle jangle morning we'll come following you. Take me disappearing through the smoke rings of your mind, down the foggy ruins of time, past the haunted frightened leaves, the frozen frightened trees, out to the windy beach, far from the reach of crazy sorrow. Yes, to dance beneath the diamond sky with one hand waving free, silhouetted by the sea, circled by the circus sands, with all memory and fate driven deep beneath the waves. Let me forget about today until tomorrow. Hey, Mr. Branaman, paint a song for me. I'm not sleepy. There is no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, paint a song for us. In the jingle jangle morning, we'll come following you. Thank you.
Yuri Kroll. Yuri here? All right. Richard Modiano.
Well, it's hard to know where to begin to talk about Bob, but I had lots of conversations with him. We went to movies together, had meals together, went to readings together, art openings together, Buddhist teachings together, and he always had pithy, insightful comments about everything that we did. And we went to see this movie called The Servant with Dirk Bogarde, who plays this guy that takes over. He's hired as the servant, but he ends up controlling the family. So after the movie, Bob says, Dirk Bogarde sure was an insidious motherfucker. Then on another occasion after an art opening that it was a group show that he was in, and he was complaining about the people that put it together, and which prompted me to give a Marxist discourse on the commodification of art, etc. And he says, yeah, they're all a bunch of greedy leeches. So he cut right to the chase. Bob cut to the chase. And he was also incredibly generous, too, and compassionate, very compassionate. When I was feeling down, he knew it somehow. He would always give me a hug, and it was like a sort of, he didn't have to say anything. He was just there. And his physical presence transmitted this feeling of warmth, compassion, and it made me feel better. And plus, of course, he gave advice on women. He says, Richard, that chick you're with, she's kind of skitsy, isn't she? And I said, yes, that's true, Bob. Well, bet she's a good lay, though. And, it's hard, but that's just, well, when I was director of Beyond Baroque, I would say something, well, we're going to have Michael McClure's 80th birthday reading here. Bob would say, I'll tell you what, I'll make a limited edition serigraph for that and donate the proceeds to Beyond Baroque. And he did. So that was, I didn't say, Bob, would you do this? He just came up with it. So, and his absence, I can feel his absence, but I can feel his presence. This mala that I'm wearing, I gave this to him for his 90th birthday. It was blessed by the Dalai Lama and Bakatoku Rinpoche. And Jenny told me that he wore it at the time of his death. And before he died, I said, make sure Richard gets this back. So there's so much to say about Bob, and so much has been said, but I love the man, I still do, and he is an example to me because of his combination of compassion and generosity. I remember there was this one individual he characterized, that guy's a snake. And then a couple of beats later, but he's also a Buddha. And that's what I will remember. I mean, to me, that's a lesson. That's a lesson. So I wrote this poem for Bob at his 90th, and I'm going to finish with this. Bob Branaman, painter and poet. 90 years of human existence. He looks at all fearlessly, the blank space, the skull beneath the skin, to eradicate the sneer of nada that will become the diamond of futurity, to give to women pensive and isolate the shape of caresses of which he has dreamed. He takes us into his world where we abide with him in joy. Bob Branaman.
Michael DeWitt. There you are? Yeah. This is Michael DeWitt.
Does anyone have any of the book that Daniel just put out that I could use?
Oh, here we go.
Bob once told me, when I talked to him about poetry, he admired the form of tanka, which is a 5-line poem, and the syllable count is 57577, totaling 31 syllables. I decided to write a tanka for him. For this book that Daniel Yarn just put out with S.A. and Richard, and it's fantastic. If you didn't get a copy, you should pick one up.
Tonka for my friend Branaman. In his studio, Amma Na Padme Hum drum. Barbital Bob's work will never ever be done. Paintbrushes eternal, now rest. Thank you.
I just got over COVID. Seriously. Daniel Yaryan.
Just like a directional thing. You guys hear me all right?
Yeah. What?
I'll go louder. Just quickly, Bob Branaman was a kindred spirit. This is a poem I wrote for him. It's about it's a reflection on his time retrofitting the Bixby Canyon Bridge with Jerry Campster and a bunch of his friends, and they had all their lady friends there having parties at the end of the day. Basking in the brilliance of bohemian bliss. Bygone daybreaks of brilliant Bob Branaman fixing Bixby Bridge for bread with Jerry and all the artist Joes, dreaming of being outlaws, society outcasts, phoenixes, sphinxes, high priest beings of a far out cosmic church of art, keeping tabs on hand, upon tongue, for all humankind. As the sun hides its heat and bandana-wearing sweat beads rolling off foreheads into the baked earth, seedlings growing into phantasmagoric vines reaching beyond the stars, behind joint smoke toques taking long drags to induce their night visions, hallucinations, hijinks, tickets to that intergalactic gate, opening up to fresh ideologies, non-conformist creations, spread legs, asses, psychedelic cocks, and pulsating pussies, celestial vixens, levitating above silhouettes of coyotes, yelping shamanistic chants, sounds of healing, emotion, ecstasy, drawing near, paintings festooned on walls close to the fire. Wild living, off the land, off the grid, trading only love for love. Basking in the bohemian bliss, building shanty art installations, insulating the belief in wide sweeping renaissance, an interlinked network of creative freedom, the promise of a kingdom of cool, overshadowing an uptight, greedy, warmongering world bent on a legacy of destruction, exploitation, imperialism. The saga continues. May the struggle end.
Milo Star Johnson couldn't be here, but Susan Hayden is going to read something that Milo has written for us.
So I'm going to read this piece from Milo, but I just want to say a few words about Bob. Like a lot of you, I met him here at Beyond Baroque. He was part of the fabric, part of the wallpaper. Later, I fell in love with one of his paintings that was on the wall of the bookstore and asked if it was for sale, and I bought it, which might not sound like anything to you, but for me, I had been married for years to a man who wouldn't allow me to buy art without his approval. And when he died, that's how I reclaimed my home.
And so I hung that painting on my living room wall, and I would look into it and I would see my freedom. I would also wonder, who is this man who sometimes painted legions of naked women, and yet it's not the bodies that catch one's attention so much as their knowing eyes and their collective essence. It wasn't until the last couple of years that he and I had an actual friendship. Maybe that's overstating it or understating it. It's not the amount of words we exchanged, which were few, but a connection between us that didn't require small talk or even the famous deep talks he had with so many others. There was an understanding without words that I felt between us, like he could see through my surface to the core of me and I to him, which is to say, he had the gift of not just capturing and exchanging essences within his art, but in the practice of his life. And I would look into his eyes and I would see my freedom. And this is the tribute I've been asked to read by Milo Starr Johnson. I met Bob at a party about 25 years ago. It touches me to realize I'm just a few years younger than he was back then. We hit it off right away, and once Bob got the message I wasn't into older guys, especially those my father's age, we became great friends. We were also neighbors, so it was fun and convenient to go have dinner sometimes at a place nearby. When he started telling me stories about his life as a beat, I couldn't understand why I'd never heard of him and why he wasn't famous. Being an exuberant, ambitious young 40-year-old, I decided to make him famous. In 2000, I produced a mixed media show called Hollywood, smash cut to nowhere, with performance, films, and visual art. One of Bob's films, titled Portrait of the Artist as a Young Dog, was featured in the film program. His visual art was in the gallery, and he did gorgeous graphics for the promotional flyers. When I wrote the publicity copy, I used lines from some old clippings he gave me, which praised his filmmaking and put his name prominently in the blurb. We struck gold, getting an LA Times Best Bet with Bob's name clearly displayed. His friend George Herms had a show opening the same weekend, and that listing was farther down the page in smaller type. "We beat George," Bob said in amazement, with both disbelief and pride, and I thought I saw a flicker of discomfort as he realized his ego was having a frolic. So I achieved my goal of making him famous, however briefly. But Bob had already explained to me that he'd given up filmmaking for visual art. So in 2002, when I did a theater show at the Electric Lodge, I asked to use the lobby too, which was also a small gallery space, and gave it to Bob. He filled the space with prints, paintings, and sculptures, and then the gallery filled up with friends and family for a joyful opening. Afterwards, I remember a group of us went to a nearby restaurant where Bobby Matos, a friend of Bob's, was playing with his band. We danced and celebrated. Good times. I've been thinking of what I will do to honor this man who was such a strong role model for continual self-transformation. His artwork is in almost every room in my home, so his spirit is too. I can look at one of his works and feel his open-heartedness, hear his laughter, and see that particular hand gesture, the low sideways shrug which always said, "Well?" I've decided to do at least 3 things to honor Bob Branaman and keep his spirit moving in this realm. 1, continue to make art as a spiritual practice. Go deeper and farther with curiosity, wonder, and love. 2, get a lot better at introducing people to each other. Bob elevated this to performance art in the best sense. Through the choices he made in describing strangers to one another, he could create an instant friendship. What a sophisticated social skill. I asked him about this once and he said, "Well, I always hated standing around not knowing who I was talking to and them not knowing me, so I decided to do something about it." Later, I understood that Bob was basically always a Midwesterner, down to earth, incredibly friendly, hardworking, and humble. 3, I will get up early and go to my studio because every morning holds a promise. I'll stay up late working because nighttime holds the mystery. And I will nap in the afternoon like Bob did, because afternoons aren't that exciting and you have to sleep sometimes, especially when you're old. Bob was so very dear to me. He inspired me and changed my life for the better in countless ways. I will love him and miss him always, but maybe not quite so much if I do these 3 things. Milo Starr Johnson.
There's an alarm going on, so you got
No, man, that's love is free.
What's that?
Listen. Yeah, that's what that is.
That's Bob with us.
That's right, man. It's all good. It's all good. It's a love touching society.
Coltrane.
Yeah. The Church of Coltrane. Mike Street.
Hey guys, it's an honor to be in this room. And everything's been really good and entertaining and filled with more joy really than sorrow. So I'm happy for that, grateful for that. On the surface, my treasured relationship with Bob was mostly art-centric. So I chose this poem of his to read today. I painted over 100,000 paintings just this morning. When I ate breakfast at 2 p.m., they disappeared. I painted over 100,000 paintings this morning before breakfast, and I'd like to think they're still there, somewhere, unseen, like the rest of the world. Bob Branaman, 1998. This was written about a dozen years before I met Bob face to face here at Beyond Baroque. I knew him only by his storied reputation through a couple of dear old mutual friends. When I arrived at an appointment upstairs to calendarize presenting my own artwork in the building, Bob and Richard Modiano were there. Bob was warm and passionate and interested. I could feel an instantaneous energy coursing between us, and I could tell he was feeling it too. And it was all about art and artists and life. I tried to describe the extraordinary feeling to others, but couldn't completely nail it. But I'll say this, it was cousin to Stephen King's notion of The Shining, involving some inner ESP ability that can be recognized only by others of the same wavelength. It was an easy and comfortable creative kinship immediately perceived. No fear, no hidden agendas, no unhealthy egos blocking the shine. There's a great void in my universe without him, but there are 100,000 paintings somewhere unseen. About 60 are right outside the door. And I have to say, when Bob passed, I'm sure that he came to the pearly gates from the land beyond, from the land past hope and fear, and all he had to say was open sesame, if only for his magnificent genie eyebrows.
Mark Olmsted.
I wanted to do something Buddhist for Bob. This is his statue. It's Bodhisattva of Compassion. So it was with him in Ginny's place, and he hoped it would guide him because he was getting ready. As a lot of you know, Bob was friends with Allen Ginsberg, and in 1972, Ginsberg's teachers suggested that he stop chanting exotic mantras that no one could really relate to, or would trip out to, and suggested that they just chant ah, which is a sound that everyone has some relationship with, like ah. So that's what I'm going to do here. I have to get a little bit of a pulse going, and it won't be too long, so don't worry. I hope you will join me in making this sound. It's a sound of openness. You won't be hypnotized into some weird world. I'm sorry to disappoint you if you were hoping. And then there will be a moment of silence afterwards where we can just be present, and that'll be it. So let me get the pulse going, and I think I have to turn it this way, actually, for better. By this merit, may all beings be liberated. Hope to see you again, Bob.
This is by Charley Plymell. This is your dad's, one of his best friends. Whole life, man. They go back to Wichita, man.
Charley.
Yeah, Charley Plymell. So I'm going to give this a shot. Rapid Ronnie Rap Back Jive, Kansas, 1955. Doc Moonlight bought a brand new T-Bird from writing scripts. Amphetamines drove fast, hard bodies over the high steps. 50 years ago, his daddy bought a mare in Dodge City. Wyatt Earp's grandson now sells new cars in Wichita. Life on the high plains, borrowed on a pile of loans. I drove. Ronnie handed me pound-selected poems. Outside Zip's club, we smoked and pissed. Inside, Pack Rat picked his bass in bliss. His eyes rolled back in closed fret. Scoo-bop-to-doo, dee-bip-bip, from hep to hip to hop, beep-beady-bop. Next set. Like cat cartoon characters, boing back, swinging man, on an astrological star. His nose inhalers packed behind the bar candy wrappers, Cosmos and Benzedrine. Dragnet, luncheonette, make the scene. Play it straight. If fate says best, really bad, half sad, oh fay, oh say. Shuffle on down, slide away from the mass. Want a smizoke, a jizzoint of grizzass? Rapid Robert Ronnie Rasmutin, run amok. Thief, pimp, artist, hood, alias Barbitol Bob stood under the neon of Zip's club. His subterranean bellhop's boyhood forays met Kansas big intersections, wild mores. By light from the stained glass windows, he sketched pictures between the shows. Illuminated in gold-faced, fading stories, he saw his dreams fly specked with glory. He stuffed his pockets with dope and dates of whores, while he gazed too far beyond the gaily painted doors. Rapid Ronnie rides the moonlight high. Pack Rat scoffed pills and played melodic, drank oxybiotic that made him neurotic. Jimmy Mammy, just out of the joint, heard Big Indian was gonna steal Doc's Thunderbird. Ronnie went along, reciting Pound's verse, riding the terrible crossroads to the universe. Big Indian let out a yell of centuries of pain, drove into the Bulldog's tractor-trailer lane. Jimmy Mammy broke his jaw and lay in years of highs. Ronnie grew old in secret under California skies. Big Indian lay dead, his eyes confused, staring at the heavens, forever wider than his moon's new earth that refused him shelter from the great white spider. Woo! Things like Charley Plymell. I was really fucking lucky to meet Bob Branaman. I'm really so goddamn lucky to know everybody here. Bob was nothing but fucking love. That's all he was, love and process. And I'm so goddamn lucky. Anybody else here have something to say? Hold on. Go ahead, George. George. Go ahead. All right, go ahead. All right. Come on, George. Come on. Go. That's the hard way. That's the hard way to go.
I know. That's my
Jane
life.
Watkins. Thank you. Jane Watkins.
It was 1966. Crazy Fool. Old Buddha, the king of cool. A swath of jagged mountains makes from fallen geometric shapes. Faces, every type and size, gaze into each other's eyes. City nudes lounge and romance, while those in redwoods writhe and dance. Honest portraits see your soul. Elaborate lizards play the foal. Circles curl up in the sky, an opening, make angels cry. Authentic beatniks go extinct. Ferlinghetti's pen runs out of ink. Rinpoche revealed the jewel. That day we lost the king of cool.
All right, here, this is called the setup once again. Anybody here have anything to say? Anybody say something? Anybody? No? Dan? Jan McNeil. There we go. Good.
Hi, I'm Jan Scheffner. I live in San Francisco, and I just wanted to tell a couple of short anecdotes about Bob and maybe sing a song if I can pull it off. About 30 or 40 years ago, Bob called me up and asked if he could come stay at my house for a week or so because Charley Plymell was coming into San Francisco and there was going to be a big reunion of the Rat Bastards. And I said, absolutely, yeah. So he crashed on my living room couch for a week and made me drive him all over everywhere. But that was good because then I got in the door and I went to all these insane events. And one time we were driving somewhere, it was on 16th Street going east past Mission Dolores, and all of a sudden he said, drive faster, and he ducked down. And so I said, what's going on? He said, I burned a guy who lives there with a dope deal. It's like, 50 years ago. So that was fun. And then another thing that happened was there's this gallery in Davis. George, I forgot the name of it. It's right off the freeway in Davis, and there's a big cat sculpture in the front yard, and you've had a bunch of shows there. What? What? Yes, that's it. Yeah. So I heard about. Hadn't known about it, and a friend was having a show there, and so we went to see her show. And then I picked up a book in the lobby about the Beats, and it was by Peter Coyote, I think, and I forget how it happened. But anyway, this guy came out. Turns out it was the owner, and we were talking about the Beats. And he said that Peter Coyote actually still gives readings there every couple of months, so that's good to know. I gotta go to that. And I think, George, there were some paintings of you were very prominent and mentioned a lot by him. And I said, well, did you ever hear of Bob Branaman? And he goes, oh, Bob, he was just one of the greats, but he wouldn't play the game. And yeah, so that was, he wouldn't go commercial or whatever. But so anyway, like everybody said, the Bob stories would just take all day. But so I'm gonna sing a little short song. It's just an offering, and I guess I just wanna. It's in Yoruba. Carol, do you know it? I bet you know it. What's the song? Shiju Anuwa Wow. Yeah. Okay, come sing it with me. Help. I don't know if we know the same version. I'm sure it's close enough, right?
We'll try.
Should we do it with our arms up? Okay, so this is just an offering song. You normally do it in the morning to offer up, and so we could kind of offer up all our gratitude for knowing Bob Branaman. Ready? Shiju Anuo Wao Ele Jumare Iba Edu Kawa Mama Fe Seiko Koma Shawanile Ambio Kosima Shawalo no Ashe Amio Ashe Amio Ashe Ashe Ashe.
Do you guys want to get up and say anything or do something? Oh, okay. Thanks, Bob. Long way down, man. Anybody else want to get up and say anything or do something? Who? No. You okay, Ivan? Ivan, you okay?
Yeah. Here, hand me that, Ivan.
No, there's another chair.
There's another chair?
It's a bad chair. Here comes
Pardon?
Angeline. You want to speak,
Okay.
Angeline? Okay, we have Angeline John.
Well, she can go now if she wants. Well, Dave, are you here? Thought I saw him. Did you bring your guitar, Dave? Yeah. All right, why don't you pull it out and get ready to sing a song. Bob, I did write some stuff down because I get emotional, so helps me remember. He's a great teacher and a lover, and I can't tell very many of the stories that would take too long. But there were just a few words here about it's Bob's last teaching to me. Just a few words about what I'm sure everybody has ever written a song or a poem or painted a picture or any act of creation of something out of nothing, but raw stuff and maybe a feeling or idea knows that I'm sure is chiseled in stone above Vulcan's anvil on the wall of his workshop Strike while the iron is hot. I wrote this song a couple of months before Bob's last birthday party that I'm sure was taken right out of J.R.R. Tolkien's novel, The Fellowship of the Ring, where Bilbo, Bob loved Tolkien, named Goldberry after one of Tolkien's characters. Well, anyway, there's a scene in The Fellowship of the Ring where Bilbo disappears at the end of his birthday speech. Bob put on the ring and disappeared a few weeks. After his last birthday party. Yeah. Oh, I got it. But I never got to play him my song as I intended to do. Like so many times where I let my shyness or stage fright or my fear of being seen or my fear of just showing you my heart. So I stopped myself from playing it for him. So I will play the song for him now. Here's Lay It on the Line, as I know he did do for the most of his adult life. And Dave is going to help me with that. We can just roll this a little bit. This is my good friend Dave Wells.
How y'all doing?
Many of you know. It's all set up for you,
Got
bro.
a crew.
And I'm thinking,
Wow. I'm usually the crew.
I know, we set it up for you, man. We gave it a big surprise. But what do you want to do? You want to sing your song first, Dave, and then I can get it together, and then you can help me on mine, okay?
Sure.
All right, let's pull this out of the way. We don't need this here now. Can we pull it that way?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just need one on my face. That's it. I'll stand.
Dave, what's the name of your song, Dave? You want to introduce yourself on the song?
Yeah. So, as I look around the room, I see Bob's long life with lots of love. So, when you get to be old and you have a lot of friends and family and love, it starts adding up. And I added up a lot of years of love from other friends and family that have passed. And I took from those celebrations of life to write this song, and it's called 1,000 Years of Loving You. Thousand years of loving you gather here tonight, reflected in these smiles and tears, a room of love and light. So many friends you called your own, so many here to walk you home. We've come here to sing your song. Now you're in our blood and bone. Holes in the day, holes in our lives, these holes in our hearts tonight. Will we be all right? You would like to poke the bear, investigate and swing at fear, to sing and dance with everyone, speak the truth and search for fun. 1,000 years of loving you. The big trees miss you too. All the miles you left your tracks, and all our love won't bring you back. Holes in the road, the holes in our lives, these holes in our hearts tonight. Will we be alright? Songs and pictures simplify the million colors of your life. 1,000 words just might describe the empty chair at tableside. 1,000 years of loving you. We count the years of missing you. Laughs and looks, silence too. Life well lived, our time with you. Our hearts remain your living room. The holes in the road, the holes in our lives, these holes in our hearts tonight. We'll be alright. We'll let in the light. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Getting it together, man. I got one. Yeah. It's just a song, right? Young man, I set out on the road. Life's like a dream, man. Thought I'd never get old. crazy kid then. Now I'm a crazy old man. I wish that I knew now what I didn't know then. Wind it back now, give me one more try. One more try now, a chance to get it right. Na 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 na, give me one more try. One more try now, a chance to get it right. Na 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 now, a chance to get it right. That's the way it goes now. With you and all your kin. Everything was changed now. And changed around again. Took me a long time to lay on the line. Been running my whole life, I'm running out of time. Na 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 na, I lay on the line. Na 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 na, I'm running out of time. Before I went for the silver, now I go for the gold. I say your time is all gone now. I say it's time to get bold. Took me a long time to lay on the line. Been running my whole life, I'm running out of time. Na 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 na, I lay on the line. Na 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 na, I'm running out of time. I was feeling so down now, tired of losing the fight. That's when you found me, took me back to the light. Took us a long time to lay on the line. Been running my whole life, I'm running out of time. Na 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 na, I lay on the line. Na na na, I'm running out of time. Take a one, man.
Thanks for the time.
I got that clear, that teaching was, for me, from Bob, was that, you know, you think you got time. Like I thought I had time, I would play Bob the song later. But I did, if I rationalized with myself, I wasn't gonna sit there and play for him at his birthday, because there was no mic and there was this and that and da 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 and all this, on and on. But of course I couldn't play for Bob.
Yes,
And that's it, except for that. But hey, just don't wait. Everybody's got that thing. And I love you, Branaman, so much. I feel like you're my family. always did, right from the start. And Bob just opened his arms and brought me right in. Into his house, came from Hawaii. I was in his house. He just took care of me. My brother took care of my brother. Brother was sick. Drinking a case of beer, like a 12-pack of beer with his wife every day, sitting in Bob's house. Bob's sober. And at one point, my brother said, Bob, do you think maybe I'm an alcoholic? And Bob said, I don't know. You want to come to a meeting? I was kidding with my brother. We were going to have like a beautiful life for a few years before he passed. Bob was generous, really generous.
Thank you, John.
Good to have you.
Thank you very much.
Which of these mics is probably best? Maybe this one? Angelina?
A little unsteady on my feet, but.
My chair?
Oh, well,
wanna
I
sit?
have one here, but I'd like to stand first.
Okay. Do you want the podium? Where's the podium?
Podium is
Podium?
here.
Yeah, let's bring you the podium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Watch the stand.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. That's great. Well, first I'd like to introduce myself and my late husband. My name is Anjali Jimenez, and my late husband was Gerard Jimenez. So on that note, we were coined nicknames in Big Sur towards the last few years we lived there. And that was Gyro Gearloose, Gerard, and my name, Venjali Jimenez. And as I tell my story that I knew Bob only for a short time, why? I wasn't even going to think about coming up here until I heard a few other stories, so I felt a little relieved that I could acknowledge him. I didn't know Bob long. I didn't even know him at all when I first moved to Big Sur, and that was in around 65, with my family of 5 children. And one night, as I was preparing to put the kids to bed, and I did, I heard Gerard say, "Oh, I'll be back in a few minutes." And he went outside because he had heard somebody knock softly on the window where he was at, and that was my husband. And I said, "Oh no, he's on another dope deal." Fuck that. I'm going out and run him off the road. And I went out and I chased him around the house a couple of times, and he did disappear before I got to him. So Gerard never heard the end of it, which happened all the time. Now maybe you can understand a few things about why I was named Venjali Jimenez. I didn't like that term because it really hit a sore spot, my ego. But it wasn't long after, so I never saw Bob. I don't think I ever saw him again. But my kids knew each other. And, well, anyway, it wasn't long after everybody, kind of a certain group of people, Bob and his family and other friends, left to LA for the treatment, if you know what I mean. Aretha?
Well, that's about all I want to share about Bob. But his family, my gosh, when my husband passed away, I'm sure they had a big meeting at Russon's house. And even family came from South America, Bogota, my husband's brother, oldest brother. And, well, anyway, it went on. Then I had a son that passed away, Kim. And I know family felt bad about that and came, I don't know who it was that came to the beach for the Black Earth ceremony. At that time, I was just like kind of not there in a way, just like being somebody passing on kind of up and seeing what was going on, but couldn't relate that well. And
I'm her daughter. And Mom's right. The Branamans have all showed up for us. We all grew up together. We're so grateful.
So
and Bob showed up, and my twin brother, when he passed, gave me a beautiful painting of twins. And he showed up when my dad passed away and gave me another beautiful picture. And I so look forward to putting those up in the house now. And gave my mom a beautiful painting when
that's
my
what I
sister
wanted to
passed
say.
away.
So when
came up to Big Sur.
And that seems like yesterday, but it was already a few years ago, or maybe more, 5 or 6, about 5 years. However, when they did come, when I went into my room at the lodge, Big Sur Lodge, he was in there.
Bob.
He was already in there. And I recalled, I said, Bob, you never knew me very well, but I know you knew Gerard. And he had a few things to say, I don't remember what, but fun things to talk about. And I said, do you remember the time I ran you off the ranch? He said, no, I'll never forget that. And I said, well, I want to apologize. Well, he gave me one of his paintings right away, and I said, well, I want to apologize. He said, no, apologize. And he said, I've always honored you, and even though I didn't know you that well, for being a good mom. And
it's true. When Susan Pierce passed away, Bob showed up, I think with Goldie at the beach, and Josh sent us a video of Bob honoring Susan Pierce and my mom as being some of the most beautiful and together ladies. And I have to marry Alexander as great, great ladies of Big Sur.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah. I said, Bob, you don't owe me anything. He thought they would give me the gift, and he said, oh, well, that's all right. I just wanted to give you something. And I said, well, thank you so much, really. And love you. I love you, Bob.
Is there one other person who wants to get up?
No. Oh, okay. Joe's going to take a lead. So just vamp for a minute. We want to tell them, George.
Here we go. We'll vamp like this.
Beautiful.
Do you think George wants the podium? He doesn't want the podium.
I think that's okay.
There he is with the faraway look in his eyes. There's Charley. Well, George is going to do something. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. And then you guys are going to play out. So glad you came.